critical mistake. Our chief legal analyst, Khalif Rhodes, joins us now to explain what could happen next. And before we get to what could happen next, let's start here. That critical mistake, it has to do with the witnesses that the prosecution was allowed to call. Can you explain why this case is where it is now?
Two things could be true at the same time with legal processes. First, that Harvey Weinstein was someone that kick-started the Me Too movement. 100 plus alleged victims have come forth after him. He's been convicted in New York. This one now being overturned in California for the rape case. And so those things are true. But also through the process, the legal process has rules. And if you call witnesses that aren't supposed to be there, that aren't listed in your indictment, if you go outside of the steps of the boundaries that are supposed to be there, that's what the appeals process is for. His attorneys thought that they were going to appeal in the very beginning. They said that this appeal has taken a number of years, and now it's finally here. It may come as a shock, but this was something that was anticipated at the time that it happened. It just takes a long time. The wheels of justice move really slow. The wheels within the court system move even slower. And so this was something that I had foreseen a while ago, is that it seemed like there were a couple irregularities with this case. But what we have to remember is now there are a couple things could happen. The DA's office can decide to, you know what, we don't want to prosecute him again. He's not going on anywhere. He'll sit in prison in California or in a federal prison, even if we don't retry him. Or we can decide to retry him. Well, who makes that decision to retry him? The guy that's at the crosshairs with Donald Trump right now. And that's Alvin Bragg. He'll make that decision to become the person who can either decide to say, you know what, this Harvey Weinstein case is over, or we'll retry it again. Because the facts will still be there. It's just the manner in which they prosecuted the case may have, as the judge said, stepped outside of the boundaries of what was allowed to happen.
Specifically, the witness who was making allegations that were not specific to the case, so that testimony, in theory, more prejudicial than it would be probative.
That is, it sounds, speaking like an attorney. I mean, when the judge decides what can come in, when you're talking about hearsay testimony or you're talking about testimony in general, the key factor is, does it add more probative or prejudicial value? And that has to be determined on the spot. And if the judge made a critical error, not a decision-making error, but an error that wasn't based in law, then that's normally when a judge's decision will get overturned on appeal. And so the attorneys, the appellate attorneys that work this case will say, look, let's look at the transcript. Let's see what the discussion was saying. Let's listen to what the judge talked about at the time and how did he come to that decision. And if he came to that decision that was based on something by feeling or based on emotion and not based on law, then by all means it will be overturned. And but you hit it right on the head. Probative versus prejudicial is the key issue that needs to be addressed, and the highest court of New York has said that, listen, the judge misstepped here.
Khalif, I do have to ask, for the victims, and we've seen already on social media many of them coming out reacting to this, what duty does the state have? I get it, the evidence remains the same, but do they have a duty to try this again so the victims feel like they have justice? What duty does the state have?
That's a tough place to be, and I've talked to our DA here, Spencer Merriweather, a number of times about balancing what that feels like to ensure that you are fighting for justice, justice for the victims, justice for community. Justice is on all sides of you when you're in that prosecutor's seat. But there's nothing bigger right now than the Me Too movement. I mean, this has kick-started generational changes in Hollywood and in everyday working people's lives where they felt like they had no power. It's given voice to the voiceless. And so to your question, that's something that he will have to contemplate, but he also has to balance the duty of, do I have a case that I can win? Why did I call that witness before? Is that the only witness that I could have called that could have allowed us to get to a victory or to a conviction? And if that's the case, then the answer may be no, I can't bring charges. But I would assume, because there's 100+ victims that have already come forward, that there is another manner in which this case could be prosecuted. And I would assume that once the smarter folks in the room get together, they'll figure that out.